What a day to be alive. Welcome to Rise Up with Rick. We are passionate about helping you extract the most out of every day and exploring and enhancing all things physical, mental and emotional well-being and performance. We are brought to you by runners.com. That's runnez.com, as well as rickmirabella.com. Radio, let's launch now.
G'day and welcome to Rise Up with Rick. I tell you what, I'm very, very, very up and about today. I'm pumped to get my good mate on the show. This fella is one of the greats. He radiates positivity and vibes, good vibes, but also knowledge. And every time I talk to him, which is regular, he's a big member of the Runners family, but currently residing in China, which is magnificent, where he heads up the high performance unit at the Shanghai Institute of Sport, if you don't mind, specializing in volleyball, which in China, now, for those of us in the Western world, in China, volleyball, I'll let him explain, is akin to all the codes of football put together. They just froth it, they just love it. And this man, he's the head of them, the finely tuned Ferraris that are athletes. He's done a lot in his life, but I love his metaphors and philosophies to life as well. A lot of mindset and motivation stuff, which we'll go really deep into. I welcome, from the other side of the world, from China, Dan Uden.
Thanks, Rick. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Yes,
Great to see you, mate. Currently 2 hours behind us, and Dan does a lot of the live runners sessions and stuff that people know that what we do on the runners apps and that. Dan's been on the apps for years and jumps on the lives. 2 hours behind China, and he's running through the streets of Shanghai, sweating it up in humidity. But he's an amazing man, amazing athlete, beautiful person, and spends most of his time really on self and coaching development and a lot of, like I said, mindset and going deep into philosophies of people's souls, which I love. Where do we currently find you? How's life over there? Sport, coaching, physio, and the like.
Yeah, mate, life's pretty good. It's pretty random. You know, we are running around the place sort of for competitions, getting around good, as you sort of say, around a lot of around volleyball players that work with the women's team over here. So I think I just wanted to be around people that I could look up to. So there's a lot of high women walking around looking like a short ass over here. We spend a lot of time just traveling from competition to competition in a different hotel and a city. So I love getting on the lives, mate, with you. So I get to see all the crew back in around the world really, but see the smiling faces, all the people I know. So it's a nice way to start the day. And you're right, those 2 hour difference or 3 hour difference doesn't make it easy, but it's worth it to get up and see the faces.
For context, listeners, we do most of these sessions at 5:30 a.m. in Melbourne time. So Dan's 2 hours behind that, and he just sets with the structure. And the movement has always been such a big part of your life, which we'll talk about later. Your routine, I just like to ascertain exactly where the guest is right now. So you're working with very high level athletes in China, and you've done a lot of work with high level athletes all over the world. Currently, though, the volleyball stuff. To give us a bit of an idea, you've been through COVID in this Institute of Sport as well. It's as high end as it gets. Give us an idea of your daily practices at the moment, right now.
Yeah, we do a lot of traveling. Like during the season, probably 6 months of the year, we sort of play twice a week in different cities. So, we spend a lot of time in changing from hotels from city to city. Most days consist of, getting up early, doing something for myself, usually, having a run or doing some meditation, trying to get my mindset right for the day. And then we start training usually about 9 o'clock, whether we do a gym session or a ball session for, say, 3 hours. And then they have a bit of a lunch break, say 9 to 12 type thing. Then they have a bit of a lunch break. They usually have a little sleep for an hour or two, and then they start again at 2 or 3, and then they go through till 6. And then so again, either ball or gym training, and then we have some dinner. And then in between those times, either treating through their lunchtime when some of them are sleeping, or then treating again after dinner from 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock. And then just press repeat on that day. So that is a very consistent, they don't have days off here. There's no such thing as recovery here. So they just repeat that. That'll be 6 months. For 5 months of the year, there wouldn't be a day off. That's just going. Of course, 2 of those days are half travel days, but I love their stories here. They're like, I sort of say, gee, we haven't had a day off. He's like, what? We have a day off today when we travel. It's like, that's not a day off, man, when we spent 8 hours on a train or a flight and a bus, whatever. So they don't do well. Their recovery time, I suppose, is when they're seeing us a lot of the time. So yeah, that's most of the day. I help with the sort of some of the training, obviously the gym part, depending on where the athletes are at. I think, as you and I talked about, most of my time is spent doing the mindset stuff. If you ask me, obviously the physio and the strength part is pretty basic by the time you've been doing it for as long as we have. It's not basic, but it's your pretty much bread and butter. But the mindset stuff is where I think the good value's at.
Yeah, and I love our conversations, and have been fortunate to have many over the last 5 or 6 years. But I think for the next few minutes, it's context, because you're doing really well and you've done amazing in your career. I know you don't like to hear compliments, but the athletes we're working with, for the guys that aren't in China, this is massive, and it's week in, week out top sport. So think your football codes and the like. But in our football codes and all the athletes that I work with, you play your one game and you regenerate, and half the week's recovery. But these guys are mania, and it's just the way it is. It's a culture thing, and it's the way it is. So after a game, Dan, what are the athletes doing straight after a game?
Yeah, look, they'll usually take either I'll take them for a little bit of a session, a stretching session or a cool down session of some sort, and then some of them, and then afterwards they'll come back, and then we'll sort of be going straight into to who's got injuries coming in for recoveries, but there's nothing consistent like a high performance thing that we'd expect. Everybody jumps in an ice bath, or we do that sometimes if we have the facilities, but obviously when we're traveling we don't as much. But yeah, it's not nearly as ideal as we'd love it to be. Often when we're at the institute, we have sort of some big swimming pools and ice baths and saunas and spa rooms and whatever else. So we do use those occasionally if we're having a really heavy week. And then we'll use those on sort of some of the recovery sessions. But yeah, after a game, it'd be like a little cool down, a stretch session, and then the ones who are injured come in to see me for the next sort of 2 or 3 hours. And then there's usually debrief there, and we start again. So
That is amazing. I've heard about it, and it's definitely different. And look, everyone does things differently, but I guess most of the ways we do things in football codes, especially, is we obviously you have your, especially in season, which is what Dan's describing here, guys, is you'll have your one or two main sessions, probably only your one major session on the Wednesday. And then it's all about trying to peak and be bouncy for the game. And then it's all about regeneration for 72 hours post, sorry. So it's interesting, but I love to hear it. And it's not, mate, they're no slouches. They're the best of the best, very big, highly paid contracted athletes. And they are finely tuned to an end of their life. Your stuff, I know your mindset stuff is a passion, and I love it. I love it so much. But let's just stay on the career path for now. How the hell? There's a lad from Langwarrin, Frankston, which is, for the guys overseas, he's exactly in my hidden zone, where we grew up 10 minutes apart, didn't know each other, played in the same football leagues, and Dan was a very good footballer locally and did a lot of magnificent triathlon things. How does a young Frankston lad end up in Shanghai, China? What's the journey? How do you even get? Well, I'm just trying to think about the road to even get to this kind of setup.
I think when I think about it, it's quite crazy. I suppose I said yes to a lot of things that were just, I don't know, where did I go from? I mean, I wasn't the smartest kid at school, so I battled my way through school there. Then went up to, found the passion of like, okay, I wanted to do physio, so I got into actually, I really wanted to do physio. But I didn't have the grades for it. So I got into exercise science on the Gold Coast, actually, and then worked my guts out. I remember I was always really determined. So I, not being very smart, there was heaps of people who wanted to get into physio, and I remember being up there doing an exercise science, and you could transfer across if you got a straight HDs type thing. And I remember being at uni there, and I just made sure that I was in the library every hour the library was open. So that first year, to try to get straight HDs, again, not as a smart dude, but just somebody who just outworked everybody, I just made sure that I was in the library anytime the library was open. My deal was that year that I would be there studying. So I was good enough to that was a really hard hard hill to get across for someone like me. So got into exercise science up in the Gold Coast. Spent the first year just doing nothing but studying, but also, I haven't found some great friends there and having a few beers as normal uni life. And then got across into physio. So I did physio exercise science up there. And then from there, after I'd finished that, I started working there in the Gold Coast, went up to Darwin, then I just found myself around good people who like to push. So I think I was up in Darwin and some mates were doing doing their masters in sports physiotherapy. And I was the earliest person to do a sports master. You're supposed to do physio for 4 years before you do a master's in sports. And I'd done physio for like a year. And somehow they let me in because it was I don't know, maybe they felt sorry for me for whatever. So I got my sport, so I had an exercise science, a physio degree, and then did a sports masters because there was people around me doing it within sort of, very early days. So that sort of set me up well to be qualified enough to do a lot of stuff with the Olympic guys and whatever else. So I was very early on after I'd got some, good qualifications. And then I started working from Darwin. I went and helped out a little bit with I went to East Timor, a random thing that I went and sort of ran a contract working in East Timor for the UN and the Defence Force. So the SAS and the Defence Force were over in East Timor and the UN was over there. So I randomly said yes to stuff that people wouldn't. One is I chased things up. There was like somebody said that, and I was like, "Who did you say that to?" So I would just call and find out what that go was, and just chase things up, and finished up doing. People said yes, and so I flew across to East Timor, got there, and was running a contract for the defence and the UN, and spent a long time there working as a base there, but then doing a lot of stuff with elite athletes overseas. So I would do like the pre-Beijing Olympics, went away with the triathlon team, or so a lot of elite teams that needed me for short periods of time, I could, keep the contract going in Timor and then go away and do whatever for different sports, sports. And by that stage, because I'd spent a long time doing my masters, whatever else, so I had a lot of colleagues who were in the realm of elite sports, so that they would sort of call on me. So then I got pulled into those sort of elite sports that were traveling everywhere. And I suppose that's where I've been mostly doing since then. I did that. And then, if I wasn't in Timor, went back to Australia, still did some stuff with the Defence Force, and then got pulled over, had that very interesting contract with the billionaire of the Formula, now Formula One driver, but back then Formula 3 Ferrari Academy driver, Lance Stroll. So and then I traveled around with him for 10 months, flying around on planes and helicopters, and that was a fun time, but definitely different too, with those guys. And then, well, after that, I think I was like, I came over here in a short-term stint of like, okay, I'll come over to China for a few months while it was free, and then I stay stuck here just because there were good people. I sort of, again, I'm attracted to the good people. So, yeah, it's long-winded, Rick, but that's that's fitting a little bit in.
Long-winded, my ass. You've glossed over 25 years of elite professionalism, which I love. I knew you were going to do that, but clearly an amazing human being. Now, you attract the good people because you are an magnificent one yourself, but also you got to be very good at your job. You can't stay in jobs if you're shit. The Defence Force stuff, you were just head of high performance, S&C, physio type stuff.
Yeah, I was doing mostly there. I ran the physio contract for the Defence Force. So we had a main centre there for while they were on deployment. So if everybody remembers back then was East Timor had a big coup, and then we sent in a lot of military forces back in, I think 1999 or whatever. And I was there from 2006 till 12 type thing. They decided, so the Defence Force was there, and I was sort of in the compound.
Sounded like a great spot for obviously your other contracting stuff. So like you said, the Beijing Olympic side, which was, if people remember Australian triathlon, in those noughties, it was elite. You were working with the best, finely tuned before Beijing and that kind of stuff. You're a triathlete yourself back then, especially. How did that come to be? You would have enjoyed working with some of the very best of all time, no doubt. leading into an Olympic year?
Yeah, yeah, no, it was great, man. Such good people too, But I like it. Just these, yeah, you like being around people who are just pushing to the best at what they do. So it's, one thing you work out is, elite sports people aren't balanced. They're not. We look for them for everything. They're not balanced. That's the reason why they're good at what they're doing. They're actual freaks in mindset and body. They usually have VO2s of 84 and anaerobic thresholds of 90%. And they have things that are just abnormal. They're not physically normal, which is the reason they can do what they can do. And then they have the mindset of obsession and often beating themselves up for the one shot that they didn't make or the one thing they didn't do correct out of the 400 things they did correct, which is, that's a tough way to live, but it's not always the best way, to be honest. I realized that. I remember thinking, I wanted to be an elite athlete, and then I spent time with them and I was like, oh, no way. I don't want this because I enjoy having a beer. It's complete obsession one way. I enjoy having a little bit of balance sometimes. It's unique that they're so obsessed in that way, which I love doing. I love being around it. But I also don't want to be it, to be honest. When I saw it, it's like, well, there's too much sacrifice in it, to be honest.
I can definitely sympathise with you there. And I didn't have the natural ability, VO2s and these kind of things, but I love working on it. But exactly, the life balance, I think with Olympic sports, definitely. And obviously it sounds like very similar to where you're at now, but there's not many sports that does marry the two. And I think a lot of team sports have got better, don't get me wrong, with combining life balance and harmony and these kind of things. You can go and have a couple of beers and a meal and enjoy yourself and these kind of things. I think it's got better in team sport. But I think, the Olympic stuff has got it's an obsession. You're right. And all individual sport really is an obsession. And you're right. The balance there, and we're going to talk a lot about that very soon, because I think that's a massive part of what you do. I think to talk about your S&C and physio stuff at this elite level or any level in life would be a massive disservice to you. I think it's probably 10% of what you do, to be honest, for the people you're around. And we'll talk about that very, very soon. The billionaire, you touched on this. This is next level. This kid from Frankston's just traveling around in choppers, eating lobster, a little bit of lobster mornay, bit of champagne in a glass.
Yeah, it was a bit like that, mate. I just tried to had to drop my A's and buts and how you going? Look, it was an interesting time. I don't want to say too much about it in the way that I don't want to,
of course,
put him down or whatever, but or say things. But it's not all what it's cracked up to be. Like there's all the great things of these, the helicopters and the jets. I think one of the stories that I maybe can tell, I remember he had a cramp one time and they flew us across to we got a helicopter and a plane to whatever to go across and check out a cramp. There's lots of great things about it as far as external and great stories, but the truth of it is they deal with the same emotional things that everybody does. And in some ways they've got to deal with a lot of other problems, that are, they find it hard to trust people, I suppose, because they feel like they're always looking at them from a viewpoint of money and success and what they can get out of them. So, I would actually sort of say it was probably one of my least enjoyable jobs, to be fair. Whilst some of the best stories came from them, it was also something. It was quite a ruthless place to be at. Now, I'm sure that's not the case for every place, but for where I was at, it was challenging. It was challenging.
I can definitely, and I definitely, I think we think the same, man. You in a lot of ways, and I think, if you're doing things for any other reason that isn't authentic, then you're not going to be happy anyway. So, it's hard to be in situations that there's something lacking, and no disrespect to anyone you're working with at the time, but it's that goes for anyone in any role, I think. So if you listen to this in a job that you feel isn't emotionally and authentically connected to you, then there is somewhere else you possibly need to be.
There's two things, Rick, that you just sort of touched on before that I sort of thought too that I just wanted to say. There's One of the you sort of said that even nowadays, like it's changed a lot in football and things, about being more centered. And there's a good mate of ours, David Joyce, who sort of says, and he's not the only one who says it, but like a good athlete now is a good person makes a good athlete. Rounding people out a little bit more is it makes them more centered, more calm, more they're so being around that sort of person or helping people be the best person they can be is not just about now being the best athlete, So, yeah.
I love that.
I
And
sort of go the same.
David Joyce, I've got his book by my bedroom table. Actually, it's the only book that sits there. He's a good man, and that's fantastic that he said that. I actually didn't know that he said that, so that's brilliant.
Yeah.
We try to. The reason why me and Dan are so similar. It's got more than enough a postcode. It's always been a philosophy. I think like there's no point. They're more than just athletes are more than just, or humans are just more than just bits of meat and skeletal muscle and bone and physiology. It has to be emotion. The mental side of it is everything. And making good human beings and helping them to be the best human beings they can be has to come first. And happiness. You can see behind me there, the happy place there behind me on my desk. Yeah, if you're not happy, then nothing else is worth it.
Yeah, and mate, even exactly, and what you just sort of said then, as far as the being authentic and there's no doubt that the same treatment on somebody makes a difference if they know that you care about them. There's no doubt, and even the research sort of shows that, like, there's stuff that shows about, like, whether you needle somebody and you believe that it works or you care enough about them. I see it as the care part, but all these things actually make a difference of how much they get better. So, or when you're working somebody out, and you actually like, man, you've got this. I believe in you, and they actually know that you care about them. They're going to lift another 10% heavier. It's like that is the difference of high performance. The truth that is being authentic, like you said. You can't lie to yourself, but you actually care about that person. They can feel that. And I know that's the difference in what my technique of doing something is worse or as good if I'm lucky to be as good as a lot of the other good physios, but they don't care as much as I do. Most of them, because they can't. I've got more capacity, I think, a lot of the time, probably because I've got more time. I'm probably in some ways can be very empathetic, that I just want to help them. So I'll figure out the way, and they can feel that. So that makes the difference. That authenticity is, and I don't know how you.
It's everything. You don't sell yourself short of more time. You're as busy as anyone, but you care. And I feel like we've spoken about taking care of ourselves a little bit more recently within big groups, because in this capacity, if you're a teacher, a leader, a coach, in any capacity in a role, if you got the care and the empathy that I think some of us do, yourself, me, and others, and it's genuine, and we really it can be draining at times, because you don't ever want to stop giving. So I think the way you're doing it is perfect, but as long as you're looking after yourself as well, and that's a never-ending process as well, to be able to navigate that and make sure you're looking after yourself so you can give to others as well, which is another that's another topic, but we'll get into that. But before we move on to this really important stuff, which is the main reason I wanted you on, one thing I took out of your early days is this is something that I think people that want to achieve or want to be the best version of themselves or just experience life to its fullest, say yes to everything and figure it out later. And Dan did that in a big way. He didn't sell himself short. He said yes to everything. He made the phone calls. He had the conversations. Too many people, if you've stuck in a rut, are scared to do stuff like that. So Dan just glossed over it all, but he said yes to everything. He made the phone calls. He wasn't intimidated or afraid or what people think of him. Who gives a fuck? Dan just said, no, let's go. And hence all the stuff is experience, because life's about experience and memories. We're not going to pump up some of the jobs he's had. They're been great, but it's not about fucking status. It's about that and the memories, because he had the courage to say yes and to put himself out there. Agree?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, there's two things to think about. Like, one is, it wasn't that that I wasn't scared. Like what's that statement is like courage isn't doing something that courage isn't not having fear, it's having fear and doing it anyway. It's like, yeah, well, number one, I had that it's like, I'm smart enough to know that, yeah, cool, that's just fear. You're still going to do it anyway. That's real courage. And number two, I always had I've had, when you talk about privilege, I was privileged enough to have, a good family who always just, when anything bad happens, my old man be like, this is a great story. So there's always the backup of like, yeah, you fell on your face. This is a good story. So we laugh at the fact of how bad shit went. It's like, yeah, that's a great, the car broke down and then you fell over, you broke your ankle, and then it started raining, you had to sleep outside. That's a great story, man. This is going to be a good story for tomorrow. So we always had that. So it's like, yeah, man, the more you can fuck up, the better story I've got from my brothers. And we celebrate that. Me and my brothers always talk, oh, dude, have you spoken to the other brother today? Or he's had a shocker, and you get to tell that story and we get to laugh at it, so that helps the failures become like a little bit, there's a bit of fun in it. It's like, oh, dude, have you heard how much fucking Dan's fucked up today? It's a cracker, so
It
yeah.
normalizes failing, but there's all cliches, like Michael Jordan, 20,000 shots missed, all that
Yeah.
shit. But it's truth. Like anyone that's trying to put a metaphor or a fable around it, or a meme you see on Facebook or Instagram, it's all nutted in truth. And as soon as you
Yeah.
normalize failings and normalize being uncomfortable with making a fool of yourself, then everything else is easy. And everything just flows.
But like, who cares? It's like, I don't care that stuff is corny. It's like the words gratitude and stuff. It's like, I heard that the other day. It's like, it gets co-opted and it can be corny. It's like, well, yeah, I've got a choice still. Okay, I still failed. How do I want to see it? It doesn't change the outcome. It's just like, okay, well, the thing is still true. Which way works better? Am I going to be better with this or better with this direction? Like, I'm going to be better thinking of it like this or better thinking of it like that. That's all. That's the only thing that matters. The rest of the shit is like, am I a better human if I think this way? Or am I a better human if I think this way? Or this one puts me in a bit of victimhood. I feel a bit sorry for shit for myself. This one has me laughing a little bit, and there's a bit of a good story. The energy around that feels a little bit better. It's like, well, the same thing is true. I still made a dick of myself. Like, which one am I going to pick? So,
Elite. Love that. And that can go for anything, kind of, Dan. Like, whether we're talking about getting embarrassed or failing, but it couldn't be anything in life. Any circumstances you find yourself in, hundreds of things in a week, how are you going to look at it? How are you going to look at it? It's very, very, sorry, mate. It's very, very important to how we're looking into a situation. So if you tell me, Dan Uden, if you tell me the way you go about an average day, what do you, from morning to bedtime, the way you go about an average day and the way you catch yourself in the moment, because you'd have negative thoughts. You'd have negative thoughts.
absolutely, man.
There's thousands. We have over
Thousands.
60,000 thoughts a day, well over 60,000 thoughts a day. And 59,000 of them are the same as we had yesterday, because that's the way our body, our subconscious and everything works. But it's a choice of what we attach to those things and how we, I guess, how we accept to walk side by side with these thoughts. And exactly what you said before, mate. It's the way we attach emotions and things to them, or do we just move on? So how do you go about your day when you have different thoughts or feelings or attachments to certain things?
Yeah, I think that the thing is, one of the, number one, I want to be completely, you've got to be honest to be able to say, yeah, I don't win every day, man. Like, there's a lot of times I think people can see that, and I know that I have a high happiness quota, right? Like, I know that I'm probably lucky enough to have some genes associated with it, but it is not intentional. It's like, okay, cool. I get a little bit of privilege on the fact that, I think they show that 50% can be genetic, but 50% can be changed as far as your happiness sort of side of things. But it is, number one, I don't win every day. And number two, it's fucking intentional. It's a fight every day to start with. to be able to be like I like this thing, Rick, like the idea that if you're not intentional about it, I used to think, um, just from all the movies, the positive is more strong than negative. It's like, that's not true. That's not true. Sadly, if you have a look, it's actually surprising that most of us aren't sitting in a corner, rocking in a place somewhere. Because, if you think about number one, that the brain, when it sees negative thing, the energy around negative thoughts, or the loss association is 3 to 5 times more strong. When you've lost a game on the weekend, how much harder it is than if you win. It's like, yeah, you win, or you've seen that. There's lots of experiments about, if you win $5 or lose $5. So it's 3 to 5 times more powerful. So losses are more painful. Number one, they're more pain. They're a lot more powerful. Negative is a lot more powerful. Number two is we actually focus on it more. Our brain is evolutionary based. We're looking for the tiger all the time. We're looking for these negative things. And three, they're in the media more. You've all the social media is always just about. So those three things are not just, they're on top of each other. They're exponentially pushed on top of each other. They're 3 times more powerful. We focus on it more. They're more abundant. So if you're not actively turning that round, you're fucked. You're on it. I hope you don't mind me swearing on it. You can bleep it out. But you're honest. No wonder people are so negative in the world. So I actively know that if I'm not fighting the good fight on that, or trying to turn the volume up the other way, I will lose if I'm just going along with just normal life and just letting shit absorb without me actively turning off stuff that I don't want to listen to. Stop reading all the media. Stop looking at everybody else being like, they should do this, they should do this. Get the finger back on me. What can I do? What can I do? I've got 2 mates who always talk about political stuff, and I enjoy the conversation because we look at each other's biases. But eventually I say, stop looking at that. It's things you can't change. So what can I change here? So I think there's a few things. I know that, again, a bit of a long-winded way around it. Things I get up in the morning and I'm like, this is the part you got to win. So I have lots of podcasts and things, or things that I start my day off with, some movement, some mindset, and if I can, some meditation. Again, I don't win these all every day, but if I've done some movement, some exercise of some sort, something mentally. So, there's 1,000 different podcasts that you and I both listen to, because you just got to hear some good shit, whether it's the mindset. There's thousands of them that you can reel off and take your pick of them. And then I like to try to, because I'm quite an active brain person, as I try to drop that down with some meditation to be able to just be like, the quality of your life is made up of the quality of your mind. So the quality of your life is made of the quality of your mind. So if you don't get that shit right, everything's going shit, which it does. If I don't do those few things, it's like, walk around the day leading like, I'm a lesser version of Dan. I feel it. So they're the big, and get around the good people. I don't have as many people around me here. So that's why I use podcasts, and I call a lot of people, and they're musts, man. They're musts for me. I know that. Yeah.
They're musts for anyone. I love it. And people need to replay that last few minutes over and over, because I think if we have a week where we haven't done that, or we take it for granted that everything's going great, we should, you'll feel it. So it's really, really important that you don't take it for granted that your brain, that is exactly millennia old, is going to automatically just change and be fine if you don't keep on top of it. Yes, neuroplasticity we were speaking is one of the great words in the English language. You can do it, but it takes daily practice and looking at yourself and saying, what's going to work for me? What's going to work for me? And usually mindset, movement, intention, and meditation first up is going to set it. It's going to go a long way into helping you have the most productive and enjoyable, happy experience, but also show up as the full version of Dan Uden, which is absolutely crucial. I really do love that, mate. Keep going on that. If there's anything you think you miss, your dealings with people, you're always extremely positive and engaging, and you definitely punch out a lot of energy. That no doubt has always been there, but it's a pretty big thing that's been throughout your life. I've got no doubt. Your energy and the vibe you give to every human you come in contact with.
Yeah. I think I've got too much energy for one person, so it can be a lot. So, which is good. It means it's sort of something that I can give. But again, those things don't. In the last few years, I've really wanted to make sure that I tell people that that's not all the time. Like you said, those things are active. You got to actively make sure that's there. Otherwise, what was that thing that saw the other day was you like you sort of said, if you don't do those things after a week, you feel shit. It was like, yeah, of course you do. There was a TikTok bloody video I saw or whatever. It was like, oh yeah, I feel depressed. It's like, oh, have you slept well? No. Have you eaten well? No. Have you spoken to anybody good? No. Um, uh, have you done anything for yourself? It's like, no, no, no. Oh, I don't know why you're feeling depressed. It's like every person would. It doesn't matter. Like even somebody who is, you sure you and I high energy, you don't do that for a week. Of course, that's it. Of course, you feel shit. Everybody does. It's no exception. And it's not to say that people who don't feel shit that judge it. It's actually for me. It's like I like to talk about this stuff to be able to be like, yeah, fucking watch yourself, man. Watch yourself in the mirror because this happens to you too. So just keep an eye on it. Again, it's. Oh, I don't talk about this stuff for other people, whilst it can be beneficial. It's a reminder to just be like, hey, are you being the best version, man? Are you being the best version? Could you be better? What do they
So
say,
true, mate.
Rick? Have you heard that statement? The idea, I'm sure you have, but the idea of hell is to meet the potential of yourself in heaven. Is to die and meet who you could have been if you weren't so weak, or not weakness is the wrong word. If you just
If you
if you
got out of
died,
your own
the
way,
definition of hell, yeah, exactly. If you just did the things that you know you should and stopped
yeah,
doing all, and the definition of hell is if you'd meet that person in heaven,
yeah.
you'd be like, oh, yeah,
And I
stop.
think when you say that, I have, mate. And I think when that's said, people go, I could have been a this or a that, a professional, some bullshit, or I could have ran 5 minutes faster, all this bullshit. No, no, no. It's about everything we've spoke about earlier, and it's about the person you could have been as far as happiness, lightness, the lightness of shoulders, and the ability to move through life and build great relationships. That's that's the potential. That's the potential.
Yep,
The best Dan and the best Rick and the best whoever can be. It's about being that person. Clearly, opportunities arise from that, but it's
yeah,
about getting out of your own way, getting out of your head. The thing about practice, Dan, is practice makes perfect, doesn't it, brother? And
yeah,
if we're practicing all this other rubbish that we've brought all this baggage along for the last 35 years of looking ill on ourselves or being lethargic and getting our own way with different things or comparing ourselves to others or sabotaging or dopamine fixes with phone, food, or other, that practice gets pretty fucking good. So it just
yep,
keep doing that. And so it's much easier to do that than to get up and do the 10 minutes of movement and mobility and mindset and intentions at 4:50 in the morning. But
yep,
that's
yep.
the stuff that's going to make us. Yes, me and you talk about this for ourselves because, mate, we've all been there a billion times. But I'm so passionate about helping people make sure that they try to do these little things. And the thing is, Dan, well, we spoke about we love having a great time, me and you. Obviously, we've got big energy, but we love enjoying ourselves, going out for dinners, having
Oh,
beers,
yeah,
having wine. You don't have to change. It's just the way you're looking at yourself and the practices you put priority on. You might have the most important assignment due, but if you're no good at getting that done, the priority still must be that morning routine that Dan spoke about or something of that nature. And I
yeah,
can't, that hell and heaven statement is so true. People go, oh, I could have
yeah.
been, I could have played this, I could have done this. It's not about that. It's about how happy you could have been and how light and you could have lived and how light, quote unquote, is above the shoulders, not your physical weight and just how much you could have experienced in life as opposed to feeling heavy mentally every day of your life.
That's why I've been like working on even today, Rick. And one of the things I love about you the reason everybody loves doing a Rick session, including me, and you just got to have it in your life, right? Like it just is such a big part of, and you spew all this great stuff out that people can just absorb at the time. And I take so much of the stuff you have, that you say just randomly on, like for example, you know, getting away from, this is the person you can be and putting all the pressure on it. One of the things that you always do is just like, this is your time. Stop thinking, right? And stop and just being here. Like I love it when you have so many of these great little bits of wisdom that you have that you just like, stop overthinking this, man. Like this is your time. Just enjoy this now. I have this this dichotomy that keeps pushing of like, this is who you can be, right? This is the push. And then also to this is it now, right? And that's sort of where I think that meditation, certainly I need it because, you spend so long on this push part of got to, the marshmallow effect of, delayed gratification and push to then come back to like, it's enough, man. This is it. This is the moment. Stop overthinking it. Just be here. That dichotomy is sometimes it's always hard to be present because our brain always going, always in the future or the past. And it's like, just be here. And you always bring that back to me when I'm running. I'm like, oh, yes, shut up, Dan. Stop the brain. Just enjoy it. You got to have the reminders of it. So I thank you for that, mate. The amount of times you've got me where I'm like, I don't want to do the next effort. Oh, it's like, just be here, man. Stop it. Thank you, man. I've got so
thank
much to thank you for.
Well, I know that I've had a lot of battles with that myself. My wife, Shelley's helped me a lot with that. And she's obviously heavily in the meditation space, and I've done a lot of work, but mate, I'm far from the fittest. Progress over perfection, my brother. But I'm very much like you in a lot of ways, more than and the strive as a coach, I was really good at always helping people with this, and I could really feel into where they were at and know what lever to pull, and usually it was a mindset lever, and just to help people feel a little bit freer and lighter in their moment. And that's when good stuff happens. Good stuff happens when you're happy. Good stuff happens when you're only thinking and not thinking at all, or thinking very minimally. Good things happen, like you think it, but then the high performance does come from that because the anxieties and the stresses are lower and the overthinking. But mate, I'm like you. I was very much, everything was about performance and being the best I could be. And that's why I mentioned before that hell versus heaven comment. Everything, if I'd have said that comment even 10 years ago, would have been, well, I could have done this, I could have done that, whether it's Olympics, AFL, all that stuff. That's not what it's about.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because it can be a negative driver. Like the funny thing is, it can work for people. That negative driver. Like I had one athlete one time 2 years ago who every time she got angry, she just dominated. But she had to go into this anger mode. I was like, can you find the same energy? So it's a tough one. Like it's worked for us. That's like some of those things of overthinking and pushing, they work and
100%.
they've been successful. And then it's like, can you get that without having the negative part? Because that's really elite, right? It's like, okay, can I still have the high performance without beating myself in the face, being like, you're not good enough, you haven't done enough, you haven't done this.
It's
and you
so
can.
True. I think it validates it. Sorry to interrupt. It validates us for many, and the athlete you're speaking of, or myself, definitely, probably yourself, and most people out there, when they've had that aggression and that anger and get into that real prime state, it can validate it, and it can almost make it so, well, this works. So subconsciously or whatnot, we take that for the next 20 years of our life and say, this must work. This is the only way to do it. Horrible way to live, horrible way to train.
Yes.
So it's really important that we talk about that, because both of us have been in the industry a very long time and have seen tens of thousands of human beings come through. So we've got a fair bit of sample size to work off this. And it's more about, okay, well, people listen to this, me and Dan are just two humans having a chat, but what can we give people that might be experiencing this? You're not enjoying anything you're doing. So if someone's out there today, listen to this, they're training for a marathon or a triathlon or just whatever, you got to kind of, and even if they're working and trying to keep up with the Joneses, which is another really big thing, Dan, in Australia and America and Europe especially, or probably everywhere over the world, let's be honest, all our listeners, keeping up with the Joneses in a job you don't like, you're not seeing your kids because you're working 60 hours a week, you're not experiencing life, you're not doing the holidays, going to the places you want to see, talking to the people. Dan's so big on getting around the people he wants to be. Everything he said about Darwin, Timor, everywhere. China, runners, wherever, runners, our family, everyone is about the good people. So if you're not experiencing the people because you're always doing a job or a stressful existence because you want to keep up with people, all these things, what advice have you got for people that are in a bit of a rabbit hole and hamster wheel, whatever you want to use, and they're not happy at all, and then everything else goes pear-shaped because of it?
Um, well, several parts I thought about when you said that. So one is getting around people. There's enough now. Like you've got enough podcasts. There's no excuse for it. There's so many good, exceptional, people to listen to. And I know that means that you're not often getting two-way, interaction back, but they're there. So stop making that as an excuse. So there's enough people around. There's more success-driven mindset, or if you want to do relaxation or whatever, if you're not, or happiness psychology, there's all the happiness guys from Harvard and whatever else. So, have a look at the Sean Akers and there's a thousand of them. Just figure out your place of either resilience, or whether you're not happy, or whether you want fulfillment, or you want to go relationship and go Gottman Institutes, and, find whatever you're not. The resources are there and they're all free now. So that is one, right? Like there's the resources are there. So if you can't get around, I mean, I'm in China, man. Nobody speaks my language. It's not easy to find that. If I was around now, I'd be hanging around your house and going to see all my mates and spending time. It's there. It's there. You've got it for free. So one is that. The second part of what you're saying about as far as the comparing yourself, that, you say it all the time, this is not for everybody else. This is even just for us, man. Like the same thing of enjoy the part of being breathless. Number one, that you feel better after you do it, right? So you have to just experience that enough times to be like, my day's better. I'm a better human. You just have to experience it enough times to be like, I didn't want to do it. Nobody wants to get up at freaking 5 o'clock in the morning. Nobody does. Maybe 1 out of 10 run feels good. They all feel shit. But afterwards, you've had enough experience where you know that you're just a better human. You felt better for the whole rest of the day for that 1 hour of effort. But you're always good at again, bring it back to just enjoy being breathless. This is a privilege. You're not going to be able to do this all your life, maybe. Or you never say that. But maybe there's a possibility you can't do this. There's lots of people who can't fucking run or do exercise. So come back to that, again, the buzzword of gratitude. But you've got to keep coming back to those ideas of not getting the energy from a negative thing. Well, that's my challenge. I'm always working on those. Like, am I doing this by beating myself up first, or am I doing it from a place of joy? So I'm fighting that battle daily too, where it's like, you're not good enough. Okay, now you got to run to be good enough. Or I was better before. Being back to just like, man, enjoy this now. This is a privilege. Okay, you're going to feel better for it. That takes constant work, getting back into that gratitude place of like, if you find things hard now, just go back. Every time you take that perception back of like, we're living literally in the best time you've ever lived in your life. If you want to talk about privilege, it doesn't get any better. I love that statement of like, whenever I start to feel like down about, Dan, you're running too slow, you're too fat, you're too whatever. It's like, if I was to put you in the top 0.00001 luckiest people in the world as a baby, if I was to say to you at 1 year old, I'll make you the luckiest 0.000 luckiest people in the history of time, will you never complain? I'll be like, fuck yeah, take that one. I'll take that 2 times a week, like 2 times, whatever. I'd take that 100 times a day, and yet here I am being like, oh, because we are that, right? Like, number one, you're living in the best country, one of the best countries in the world, the best time out of all of history. In the whole of time, you're living in the best time possible on nearly every metric that matters. If you've got any family or anybody who loves you, and these things are exponentially on top of each other. So already, you have a loving relationship. Well, you're in the top 30% of people in the world. You're living in the top 5% of the country. So now you're the top 5% of the 30%. Oh, you actually can move. Oh, you're physically okay. You're this. Oh, you make over 60 grand. You're already, if you make over 60 grand, you're in the top 5% of the world. So you're the top 30% of the 5% of the 5%. It's like, stop it, man. You're in the luckiest of ever. So that's what, I've got to get back to that when I'm like, oh, it's pretty shit being over here. So
Slap yourself, Daniel. But we
Yeah,
all do it,
shut up,
mate.
man.
Yeah, but 25 minutes ago, mate, you explained why that happens, and we've all got these brains that do exactly that. So the key is to
Right.
write it all down, or whatever's going to work for you as an individual. Remember all that and extras. Write shitloads down that's extra. And then when your brain goes there, you know, oh, I'm going to come back to that. Okay, always come back to that. So it's really important. It's really important that we come back to that, because don't beat yourself up for your brain thinking those things, because then you're going down that rabbit hole to, oh, why am I thinking like this? And then it's just worse again, because like I said, 60,000 thoughts a day, most of them are shit. So you need to change the narrative, not Dan, but all of us, me, mate. I'm the worst, hence that's why I'm a
Thank you.
coach, and that's why I can relate. You change the narrative and say, no, this is awesome. This is normal. My brain's whatever. This is normal. This is what I've got to do. And the gratitude, or whatever word you want to use, you're right. It gets done a lot, the word gratitude, but it's the what it means. And just right, that's all brilliant facts that are absolutely, you can't argue with that stuff, but there's a million more you could write as well. Love it. Who's some of the, I guess, for the listeners out there, a couple of leaders in this kind of stuff that you've been liking reading lately? We know you're a very well-read man and love the audio books and podcasts. Me and Dan could tell you, we could go for 4 hours talking about our audio books and podcasts, but who's some of the 3 or 4 leaders in this space that people might like to check out?
Mate, there's so many that I just rotate through. I think we both and I saw the Chris Wilkinson. I don't read as much these days because I think I said to you the other day, I'm dyslexic. I don't enjoy reading, so I just take them on board. You know, the Tom Baileyards, there's the Gervaises. If you want to go into sports psychology, the Gervaises. I often go into the happiness psychology. So there's a lot of the Harvard guys there. The Happiness Project. Then I just listen to some of the, whether you go to take your pick. There's the Sarah, I forgot her second name. She's the producer of Hamish and Andy from Australia. The Howie Games, which I think a lot of the Australian guys listen to. Again, the sports psychologist, that side of things. So go sports psychology. I enjoy the sports psychology, the happiness, or the how to live a fulfilling life type things. You can often go, you can go the Goggins and the pure just motivational stuff, if you like. I made the mindset mentor guy, American young fella. Try to listen to him. The Ryan Holiday, more stoicism stuff, and they're good. Just sort of, Simon Sinek. I remember who was on the other day talking about him. He's great too. There's so many. DOAC. There's all these guys talking about, Mo Gadwat. Again, I'm screw up a lot of the names because I'm bloody dyslexic, but hopefully you'll get sort of some of them there.
Oh,
but
mate,
there's so many.
You've given us so much. I think all those guys are fantastic. You take it for what they're, ladies and gentlemen are fantastic, but you take a bit from whatever. And another thing that I love about Dan is he's obviously been with us for a long time now as doing the runner sessions and whatever else, but never, and I'm the same. The malleability of the human physical body and that's great, but not much has changed since the 70s and 80s. And I talk a little bit about it, but I reckon 95% of my stuff is what we've spoke about today. So I love that Dan, who is in the industry of physical bodies, is also 95% the same, because no one talks about it or does enough on it, mate. And you've said it so beautifully the last hour, but we need to get a lot better, and I think we can, because you described the advantageous nature of living in the current world, but yet our brains are still designed millennia ago. So we need to be aware of it, not beat ourselves up about it, but we can still get a lot better. We can still teach the next generation how to be happier.
Yeah, man, it's just, and that is the quality of your life. I think that's what I'm obsessed with, having the best quality of life that I can have. And it's just these great teachers out there to be able to do it. None of this stuff is mine. I just, there's so many good people out there to learn from. What's that? I like a little bit of again, these are all from just different people, but the Sam Harris, the same way that you train your body for an event, you got to train we're all going to go through some tough stuff in life, right? Like, we've all had it, and I can talk about my, really tough times, but I realized that shit, all this stuff that I'd done before was actually training for those really tough times. We're all going to have a parent who dies. Our kids are going to fail or be in drugs or go to jail or whatever. Something's going to be traumatic in life, super traumatic, super hard. Now, if you don't have the capacity of that now, or at least working on some of this stuff that you're like, fuck, so when the big shit hits the fan, do you got some sort of capacity? It's already tough enough, man. It's already tough. Whatever's going to happen is going to be traumatic. I said parents dying, divorces, kids leaving or doing, having some physical problems, or going to surgery. These days are coming. So if you haven't prepared a little bit for it from your mindset, from when times are not even that hard just yet. I mean, they are hard. We all have hard times, but it's like you've got it coming. So it's funny, we don't train our brain for that or expect it. It's like this, it's coming. This week's yours, next week's mine. When it's mine, I'm going to give you a call because I know I'm going to struggle. But if I don't have some of this stuff in place, I don't know. It's understandable why people commit suicide and go down a depression wise. As I said, it's not unexpected.
Yeah, and we need to do something, and I'm passionate about it, and I'm passionate about making people. I'm not trying to be a bullshit gimmicker, smile, happy all the time. I get it, but I know that there's ways and things we can do better, and I know that these frameworks that we're talking about now are really important, and the frameworks don't have to be complicated. Like what Dan described about his day, that's not complicated. He's in a place that's foreign, that he's got a lot of people he's got to work with, but he just keeps it simple. Keep it simple and don't look too far ahead, just in the moment. But also, how do I feel? And like Dan said, and this is a big one I say all the time, you're going to feel like doing it maybe 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 20 times. You're going to feel good maybe the same amount, but you'll never, ever regret it. And it's just part of your day. You brush your teeth, you move, you set some intentions, you quieten the mind, and then you go. You can do some deep work and whatever else you've got to do, but it's really bloody important. Motivation, you've given us 50 to 60 or more minutes of it. Great, man. What's in store for the next year, 2, 3 for Dan Uden?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm pretty open to the yeses, I think, at the moment. I've just signed up here for a little bit longer, but we're getting more time off to I think I'll use this as a base for a few months a year. I think I'm going to look at maybe just doing a few months a year here, and then work on spending time with good people, seeing what the next thing comes about. I know that it sounds very wishy-washy because I suppose it's not clear. So I'll be here for the next little bit anyway. I think I'll be here I want to sort of try to work on doing sort of 5, 6 months here, and then spending time with people I love and people who inspire me. If there's good gigs going at places, I'll go there. Building on good relationships, that's a important part of, as we're getting a bit older, making sure that those things are as good and robust.
I think you've, mate, described. I'm happy just
the focus for me.
I could listen to you. I could listen to you over and over. That's my Australian Shepherd. Don't mind her. I could listen to you over and over and over again, because that is what life is about. Let's just take a break. If you've been listening to this and you're not thinking in any aspects of this, you need to start at least a little bit. We're not here to lecture. We just want to help, because me and Dan have experienced everything and we get it. As far as we've been as low as you many times if you're listening to this right now, but it's really important. Really important. Notice how Dan said nothing about any material aspects whatsoever. Just good people, relationships, feeling good, feeling energetic and happy, and not being lethargic, and experiences. I just love it, brother. I look forward to getting you in Melbourne again. I love running with you. You can imagine running with Dan when he's a ball of positivity, but he's just really good. He's a good listener. He's just a good person to be around. What's the day hold right now, mate? Where are you off to right now? Where are we off to?
We're about to go to the gym, I think. I'll take a few girls to the gym, try to do a little bit of stuff myself, and then go for a bit of an explore in the new city. So I'll go get a coffee after that, and then do the repeat, do a bit of training. I'll call some family, and yeah, see what I can do.
How's the Chinese coffee, Daniel?
What's that?
How's the
Chinese coffee?
coffee?
You'll be disgusted to hear. Actually, I say coffee. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea, and I'm addicted to these the Starbucks Hong Chan latte, which is like a milk tea latte things here. So it's when the food here is a little tough to take in a lot of places, the stomachs and brains and chicken feet. So one of the things I do have is I have a lot of these milk teas, which sure is not great for me, but that's all right. That's my guilty pleasure. So I find I spend a lot on at Starbucks.
You need the calories.
Definitely does a lot of that.
Final words, great man. It won't be the last time we get down on. He's an expert in all fields. We're not going to, let's be honest, he's a physio, he's a high performance S&C man, but we spoke none of that today, which I knew we weren't. So I love it. Any last words?
Nah, mate, I think it's just, I said, I appreciate you. I just want to do a massive shout out, like these things are, like you said before, there's no lectures going on here, man. This is just about us working out what the best life is to have, learning I'm learning from as many people as I can and just trying to repeat it. When more we talk about it, the more we get to implement it in our lives. And that's how I feel. It's like, okay, good. The more I talk about it with Ripper, I'm just reminding myself, okay, cool. Did you get enough sleep? Did you eat well? Are you thinking a little bit more positively? Who are you out there to be able to help? What relationships are you able to foster? So that thing is not about lecturing anybody. It's about reflecting it back on me, being like, okay, come on, man. What do you want to do? And the more you have people to talk about it with, the more you can implement it. And that's so I appreciate having this space, mate, because it just makes me better. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you, brother. And me and Dan are talking as mates and teammates and this on air, but that's helping both of us consolidate what we want to do today and tomorrow and forever. So hopefully you can take that as a bit of a guideline, listeners out there, to whether you listen to our sessions on the app or someone on YouTube or podcast or whatever, that it consolidates it for you. And I'm really passionate about this, far more than running a faster 5K or a marathon. This is my passion, and I'm very passionate about it. So it's a privilege to have Dan on. He's a great man. He's going to do great things, but this is what his purpose in life is. There's no doubt about that, to help everyone live much more happier, energetic, and fruitful lives, our true purpose. We thank Dan Uden. We thank him. I tell you what, by listening to this show, you've done something that's going to make you much better tomorrow. As always, we're brought to you by runners.com. That's RUNNEZ.com and rickmirabella.com. Check it out. If you like any of this content, you'll love that. Thanks, guys. And again, you've done something that's going to make you much better tomorrow.